So far, I have tracked the circle alignment from its starting point in North Africa in Algiers, Algeria, through Mali, Guinea, Brazil, Colombia, Panama, Nicaragua, Honduras, Belize, and Mexico. Now the alignment enters the United States in Louisiana. My name is Michelle Gibson. As I said at the end of the last video, the alignment is moving into the heart of the Empire Washita of the Washita Moors, also known as the Ancient Ones and the Mound Builders. The Ancient Ones don't refer to a people that existed a long time ago. It refers to an ancient people that are living in the present day. The United Nations recognized the Washita Moors as the oldest indigenous civilization on Earth in 1993. The Washita were also called the Washita, spelled O-U-A-C-H-I-T-A, Wichita, Choctaw, Etowah, Utah, Waseti, Waxhaw, Hatchita, Washoe, Washington, to name a few variations of the name. There are many other Native American tribes that are also Washita, but are considered to be separate from them because of the historical hatchet job that was done to remove the ancient ones from the historical record and to misdirect and misinform. The Mississippi River Delta is nearby, southeast of Baton Rouge, close to the alignment as is New Orleans, but not directly on it like Baton Rouge. Throughout this video, I will provide reasons why I believe there is an inverse and intentionally mirrored relationship between the Mississippi River region and the Nile River region in Africa. To begin with, I have drawn a red line on this world map to demonstrate that there is a straight west to east linear relationship between the location of the Mississippi River Delta and that of the Nile River Delta. The Mississippi River, also known as the Father of Waters, flows southward 2,320 miles, or 3,730 kilometers. From its source at Lake Itasca in Minnesota, not far from Lake Superior and the Great Lakes region of North America, to the Mississippi Delta in southeastern Louisiana. The Nile River, also known as the Father of African Rivers, and along with its major tributary, the White Nile, is 4,130 miles, or 6,650 kilometers long. The source of the White Nile is Lake Victoria, in what is called the Great Lakes region of Central Africa. The source of the Blue Nile is Lake Tana, a sacred lake in Ethiopia, and it joins the White Nile to become the Nile at Khartoum, the capital of Sudan. From Khartoum, the Nile flows northward to the Nile Delta. Here is a side-by-side comparison of the Mississippi River and the Nile River, as well as what the Mississippi River Delta and the Nile River Delta look like together in person. This is an aerial view of the Mississippi Delta on the left, which is on the southeastern coast of Louisiana, showing many geometric and straight channels. And on the right, the same type of straight geometric channel is also found in the Nile Delta. Now on to the actual alignment, where the first major city we come to is Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Baton Rouge is the state capital of Louisiana and its second largest city. There are two particular places in Baton Rouge that I would like to highlight. The first are acknowledged mounds at Louisiana State University in Baton Rouge. There are two mounds there, believed to be more than 5,000 years old, and considered to be part of the oldest mound system in North America, and part of an acknowledged Louisiana mound system. They are on the U.S. National Register of Historic Places. But mounds are actually everywhere, and typically not acknowledged as such, like at the old Louisiana State Capitol building in Baton Rouge on the top left. Besides the fact that it looks like a castle, I want to draw your attention to the earthworks, also known as mounds, that it sits on top of. On the top right are the earthworks upon which Mount Clair sits in Baltimore, Maryland. On the bottom left, you see the same style of earthworks under the Akureyri Kirkja, or Akureyri Church in Akureyri, Iceland. And on the bottom right are the Cahokia Mounds directly across the Mississippi River from St. Louis in Missouri. These earthworks look very similar to what is seen at the locks of the Panama Canal on the left, said to have been completed in 1914. In the middle, the Caledonian Canal in northern Scotland, said to have been completed in 1822. And on the right, the Bingley 5 rise locks on the Leeds and Liverpool Canal in Bingley, England, said to have been completed in 1774. The Algiers circle alignment I am currently following will pass directly through Leeds, England, in the latter part of it. The circle alignment passes through the town of Richwood on its way to Monroe, Louisiana, the ancient imperial seat of the Washita Empire, in an area known as Washita proper. The recently deceased Empress of the Washita, Verdiasi Washita Turner Goston L. Bay, signifies many things, but for this example, she was the mayor of Richwood, Louisiana from 1975 to 1976. Empress Verdiasi passed away in 2014, and her granddaughter, Wendy Farrakha Washita, succeeded her as the Washita Empress. It is important to note that the Watson Break lunar mounds on the top are in the vicinity of Richwood. Watson Break is an archaeological site in Washita Parish, Louisiana, dated to 5,400 years ago, and is the oldest earthwork mound complex in North America, acknowledged to be older than the Egyptian pyramids and Stonehenge in England. It is located on private land, so is not available for public viewing. Stonehenge on the bottom, which has an earthwork very similar to Watson Break around its perimeter, according to what we are told, dates from starting at 3100 BC, about 5,100 years ago. Next is Monroe, the parish seat of the Washita, spelled Ouachita, parish. Monroe and West Monroe, which together are called the Twin Cities of Northeast Louisiana, are situated on either side of the snaky S-shaped Washita River on the top left, which looks like the snaky S-shaped river bends of the Mississippi River at Vicksburg, Mississippi in the top middle, and of the Mississippi River at Cape Girardeau, Missouri on the top right. On the bottom left is a picture of the snaky S-shaped river bend at Juba on the Nile River in South Sudan, and on the bottom right is a photo of the Nile in the Ashat Valley of Upper Egypt. And here's a comparison of where the Missouri and Mississippi rivers meet near St. Louis, Missouri on the left, with the place on the right where the White Nile and Blue Nile meet at Khartoum, the capital of Sudan. Back to Monroe, Louisiana. Monroe is the imperial seat of the ancient Washita Empire, and this part of Louisiana is called Washita proper. This is the Washita flag. 38 miles northeast of Monroe, near the town of Epes, Louisiana, is Poverty Point. It is said to have become known as Poverty Point because the farming was terrible here. Its name is actually Awameka and was an ancient sacred city of the Washita Moors. The story that we are told about all the mound sites is that Indians wearing loincloths were responsible for building the perfectly geometrically and astronomically aligned mounds and earthworks, one basketful of dirt at a time. This is not the truth, and does not hold up with any scrutiny whatsoever. These are the kinds of artifacts on display at Poverty Point as being representative of what was found here. While perhaps they were found here, I don't think they were representative of the highly advanced and sophisticated ancient civilization that lived here. The artifacts on display at Spiro Mounds in Oklahoma, like this one here, would be more representative of what was found at Poverty Point. Moorish American master adepts and teachers in the present day are wisdom keepers of ancient sacred Kemetic mysteries and knowledge about all creation. They are living practitioners of Egyptian yoga and Medju Neter, the language of the Egyptian hieroglyphs. In this spirit, I'm going to the next place on the alignment in an area west of Little Rock, Arkansas, which has special sites that aren't brought forward into public awareness and represent how sacred ancient sites are deliberately covered up. The first place is Pinnacle Mountain, which is an Arkansas State Park. I had first heard of Pinnacle Mountain when I learned there was an Earthkeeper conference there in 2012. I didn't think much of the name Pinnacle Mountain until several years later, in 2015, when I found this image online. This was the beginning of my looking and then finding out more and more. It really got my attention. So I had to go there. It was about a 3 to 4 hour drive from where I was living at the time, and I went there twice with friends. There is only one place you can get this clear view of Pinnacle Mountain as a pyramid, which is from the education pond at the park. This view here of Pinnacle Mountain and 2 more pyramids is only obtainable from the Visitor Center observation deck on a relatively clear day. Otherwise, access to all other views is completely cut off by private property and fences. And these are certainly not advertised as pyramids. The alignment is also close to Mount Magazine, located outside of Paris, Arkansas. Mount Magazine is in the Ouachita Mountains of western Arkansas and eastern Oklahoma. The memory of the people is in the name. This is called Cameron's Bluff at Mount Magazine. I visited Mount Magazine several times, and this is where I started waking up to seeing what was really in the environment around me. As soon as I took the turnoff for the road that skirts the bluff, I started seeing a wall. It is such an ancient wall that there is some element of doubt, but there are some places you can really tell it is a built structure. The next place on the circle alignment is Springfield, the 3rd largest city in Missouri and the seat of Greene County. This is the Pythian Castle in Springfield, said to have been built in 1913 as an orphanage, and similar in appearance to the old Louisiana State House in Baton Rouge. It was said to have been built by the Knights of Pythias, a secret society founded in Washington, D.C. in February of 1864, and was the first fraternal order to receive a charter by an act of Congress. It is interesting to note that the Civil War didn't end until 1865. For what purpose would Congress charter a fraternal secret society in wartime? And this is the Abu bin Adhem Shrine Mosque in Springfield, said to have been built in 1923. Again, we just assume the people who said they built these places did so, because we have no other information to go by. Another example of this practice is at Ha Ha Tonka State Park in Camdenton, Missouri, north of Springfield on the alignment. The castle here was said to have been started by a Kansas City businessman in 1905, finished by his sons in the 1920s before the stock market crash, and destroyed by fire in 1942. Like the Yucatan Peninsula, Ha Ha Tonka has sinkholes and caves, and even a huge so-called natural bridge. And Missouri's 12th largest spring. I'm going to end this video here and pick up the alignment in the next video in Des Moines, Iowa.